just saw for
It's
preview.
definitely going to be on there.
Hey,
Watch this.
just give it about 20, 30 seconds for it to get started, and then you guys are going. We're live right now. Everybody say hi.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Warfighter Wednesday. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm gonna be like, Chad, what's up?
What's up?
Yeah, see. All right, cool. Hey guys, listen. We're still working out the kinks with Chad. Chad's doing the best that he can, right, to get all this stuff figured out. Having some issues trying to connect everybody into the show, but we made it. Sorry we're late. This episode of Warfighter Wednesday, we're going over 1 point versus 2 point slings. We're going over some battle belt configurations and also holster retention. So stay tuned. We got a pretty good show for you. What's going on, guys? All right, myself, Bobby James. I'm here with Will Howard, Instructor Z, as always, and then we got Kawa. He's up in the corner. He is not able to be here with us, but it's a lot better than the cell phone that we had him on last week, so it works out really good. How you guys all doing? What you doing?
Good, man.
Look tired.
Tired.
Okay.
Tired. Been working
Tired?
with fifth group this week, doing technical mobility.
Okay.
Chad was helping me this week, and then Bobby made me come in here and talk to you guys on YouTube.
Gosh, man, it's
What
a rough life. It's a rough life. We got some really interesting topics. One of them is going to be how to stop someone from choking over here because Will's dying. But we'll start it off, man. We got 1 point versus 2 point slings. What's your take, man? What do you think? What do you run?
In 1990 of the 9, I did have a 1 point sling at one point. I went to Kosovo with a 1 point sling because it was sexy. Mm-hmm. All the infantry guys, they said.
Is that when you got this battle belt with these mag pouches? Was it the same time
I
frame?
might have ATS come over here. Velcro pouches. So I go 2 point sling, but I do. So you got the wide 2 point, right? I go close 2 point.
Okay.
So we can talk about that in more detail, but I'm a 2 point guy.
Okay, cool. Will?
2 point guy. Like what Z was saying, back in the day, it was all about the 1 point. You see a lot of those dudes running. Those are like the high speed guys. Like, oh, dude, he's got a 1 point sling, man. But I think it's all about the 2 point now. I don't really see a whole lot of guys running 1 points anymore. Not saying that it's the wrong thing to do, but I think most people have definitely moved over to the 2 point, and there's some pretty obvious reasons why.
Good deal. Kyle, what are you running? I know what you're running, but let the guys know.
Yeah, so I'm with Z, man. I think that a few years ago, probably, I don't know how many, probably like 6, 7 years ago, everybody was running that 1 point. It was a hotness. Like, people had it set up as like necklaces, kind of like around their kit. So it was like with their kit. Some people had it detached, But and I definitely had that for a couple of deployments. But honestly, I wouldn't back to a 2 point just because, for obvious reasons. But there's a lot of pros and cons between 1 points and 2 points, and that's hopefully what we're going to discuss now. But yep, run the 2 point Pharaoh Slingster.
Good deal, man. I'm a 2 point guy. As you can see, all my guns got 2 point slings on them. Never really got into the 1 point thing. I always favored a 2 point sling. But let's get into it. What are some pros to your 1 point slings?
I mean, for me, it was always looking back, hindsight being 20/20, right? So when I first got it, it was just like, that's awesome. But then the more you know, the more you learn to do better, right? So I learned the hard way. I had the 1 point sling. It was great. You could hook it on. And for our particular time, then you come back and you can just take your gun off, hook it here. Your sling never moves from the gun, and you sit it down. So it was good for convenience. But when you started getting into more complex situations in the combat zone, or even a peace enforcement missions when I ran it, you learn that thing's flopping around everywhere. I've seen guys get their lip busted because their gun's swinging around, and we're trying to take down guys. Right, we're doing this whole detaining scenarios at Fort Knox, getting ready to go to Kosovo. Guys got their sling or their weapons swing around, hit people because the end is not controlled. You can't tighten it up to your body. It's always free moving. And I think some people came out at one point in time with like these little attachment, little cuffs that you could lock the gun in.
Yeah.
But it was just, it worked good if you had some time to mess with it. Like, all right, I'm about to do this, so let me fix this thing up. But spur of the moment, like if you had to like say CQB, I come in, I got to wrestle with you. I don't want that thing flying around, and I'm not going to have time to attach this thing any kind of way, right? So it's not. It's good for a lot of things that are just purely shooting.
Okay.
Right? But if you're wearing a sling with a rifle, usually there's other things involved.
Okay.
So it's not good for all those other peripheral tasks that are going to have to take place when you're fighting, controlling a situation, even just doing a competition like a tactical competition where you're having to negotiate some obstacles or whatever. It's just, it's not very practical for those other things.
Gotcha. Hey, I don't have a whole lot of experience with a 1-point sling. Usually I see those guys now, and they're usually the guys that got the bungee, you know what I mean? They got it sitting there and stuff like that. I don't have a ton of experience with that. I know, Kawa, you said you had some experience with that. I don't know about Will, but you know, I think you and Z would be the hotness.
It's hot. It was hot back then.
Yeah, I mean, like Z, like Z said, you know, because you have the greatest thing about a 1-point sling is that it's a single point of connection, which gives it the most maneuverability, the easiest manipulation, shoulder to shoulder. But for what the one pro is of that 1 point, there's a lot of cons that would make you not want to use it, right? Because like Z said, if it was just for shooting and nothing else, I think everybody would rock a 1 point. But because we do so many other things as operators, then it's really detrimental to how we function.
Yeah. What are some? You said you had some experience.
Yeah, I used them very briefly in the very beginning of my military career. I used them. Some things that I noticed that they were good for is basically I saw a lot of guys rig them to their kits to where it would go under their shoulder pad there, and then it would just sit there and it would stay on their carrier the whole time. It would, when they put their carrier on, their slings right there with it, then they would just hook their rifle into it and then let it go. It's great for, I would say, just holding a rifle. That's basically it. If you're standing there in one spot and you're chilling and you don't feel like having positive control of your rifle for a little bit, it's great. I've gotten uppercutted multiple times, going down to put like some zip cuffs on some guy or something like that. Muzzle hits the ground, buttstock comes up, hits you in the bottom of the cheek. So I've had that multiple times, and then at that point it's just like flailing around. But pros, if you're not doing a whole lot of run and gunning, if you're just sitting at the range doing ready up drills, it's great for that. It's great for, just quick transitioning if you're just doing transition drills. And then it's great to just be able to unhook one thing, be able to put your rifle down, and then not worry about a swing at that point.
I think in summary, it's kind of just one-dimensional, really.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's basically just, in my opinion, it's just for holding a gun up while you're standing there doing nothing.
And what we're talking about, guys, is something like this, right? This is a 1-point sling. What Will was talking about is the ability to throw this guy on like this. This would be either attached to your weapon or anything like that, and then it would just clip in and your weapon would just dangle there, right? If you're doing any running and gunning, you have a huge possibility of this thing coming down and just hitting you right in the nuts, man. It happens all the time. Don't recommend it. Probably happened to you guys more than once.
Your knees up.
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff. The one thing that I do see this sling application used a lot in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see a lot of guys with subguns running 1-point slings. What's the significance with that?
Yeah, so I actually just did a video with Mike and I where we were doing a small course of fire, and we both use subguns. He uses MPX, I use my RD9, and I think the reason I'd rather use a 1-point with a subgun is, one, on most subguns you don't have that forward QD mount spot where you can actually mount the front or at least one end of the sling, right? And so rather than having to put one on there, and plus it's such a small little gun that I don't mind that thing kind of swinging around a little bit. Like it's not really impeding my shooting platform with a pistol, but that's my experience with it.
And the same thing when we used to have MP5s or UMP 45s, like you could attach at one point because there's not a lot of real estate to attach things anyway. And then that thing, if it's slinging around, I can almost like just latch it, just slinging around right here. It's not slinging around down here like a regular standard rifle, even a smaller rifle, a 10-inch. You don't want to sling down here, so it's a lot smaller, and you can control it a lot better, right? So I could even throw it over my shoulder or something like that with a 1 point, and you can get away with that for a lot of different things. And for sub guns in general, like when you're using those, you're using them in less diverse environments, right? It's more like security or straight up CQB. So there's not a lot of the other things that come into play, those peripheral tasks I was talking about, like climbing, jumping, being in a helicopter, doing all these other different things necessarily. So you can get away with a smaller platform gun like that with a 1 point sling.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so we talk about the pros, some of the cons with it. Let's move into 2 point slings, right? How do you got your rifle set up?
So now that when you say 2 point slings,
2 points.
I mean 2 points of connection onto your rifle, right?
so 2
or your
point
weapon.
slings, well, there's variations on where they actually connect, right? So I think everybody when they first started out in the military service, or even guys that are just get a rifle, there's always on the buttstock there's a place to place a sling, right?
Yeah, right here.
These buttstocks,
Like that.
these back plates that have connections wasn't always around. I'd say maybe 10 years ago they started coming around. And they had fixed. Now we have the QD mounts in there, and your guns come standard with the QD ability right there. So now they have them in the buttstocks as well, but it's still trying to put you back at the end of the buttstock. So mine is more of a closer proximity, so closer to the center of the gun, so that I have more movement, a smaller axis right in the center here, as you can see where it's connected, right? Instead of being to the further edges, which to me limits my mobility. This is as close as I can get with a 2 point, pretty much. That gives me the maximum ability to maneuver the gun, much like a 1 point sling.
Correct.
So it gives me the pros of the 1 point sling, but takes away the cons because I'm able to secure it flat to my body because of those 2 points, right? And I can adjust that, make it tighter. The bottom will be secure enough, right? And I can point it to the back of me, why it's secure, even tuck this underneath. And that's part of why I've got this close and not on the end of the buttstock, because it gives me that real estate to tuck behind my arm when I'm using my hands for other things.
Yep. So just to clarify that, guys, really quick, if you hold up your rifle, you see how he's got it right here at the QD latch right here where I run mine through the stock. So when he cinches his gun up, his gun actually will sit higher on him, or he can get it around and get it higher because of that connection point on that QD. Mine will sit lower because of where my sling is at. This is just more comfortable for me. Basically, it's whatever you feel most comfortable with. Every one of them has an application for it. Will's got his.
I got a combo of both. I got a QD in the stock, just like what Z was talking about. So, but same positioning. It's gonna be up. It can only go as high as that back point is going to be. So if you want your rifle, up here, which you're more than able to have, it's very secure if you're moving around. You're gonna want to put your back point somewhere, as high on the gun going this way as you possibly can. So, but since I'm here, I'm sitting right here, which is fine. You got kind of a shorter barrel, but if you're running a full 16-inch, it might be better for you to look at different options to move that rear point as forward as much as you possibly can to really hike that gun up on you. And the more secure you can put it on your chest, get it out of the way. If you're running a carrier, your mag carrier is going to be, right here. So to get it out of the way, get a nice flat spot you're going to have the most control over that when you don't have positive hands.
See if I go here.
Yeah.
Feel how secure it's moving around.
Yeah. You
I almost lock it in because I have that ability to put my arm in front of it. You know what I mean? Then I can do different things. So that's what sold me on that part.
You're so high speed.
So I know Kawa's got a really good setup on his rifle too. You do the close proximity on there too, don't you, Kawa? Or do you
Yeah,
do
I
just through
mean,
the stock?
mine's set up the exact way Z's is set up, and probably for the exact same reasons. I really like that maneuverability between the ends, whereas you can't get that if your attachment points are further out, right? And I do like having my rifle sit a little bit higher, so that when I do transition, that thing's not banging me in my knees, and if I'm throwing it to my side, then I can lock it up like Z. But I mean, so that's the biggest thing with the rifle, right? We don't want it to impede what we have to do after we put that thing away. So we want to position it somewhere, whether it's the sling setup or how that thing sits on your body, so that when you transition to your secondary, you don't have this thing banging up on your knees. You don't have it swinging like a pendulum, causing you to throw your shots off. I mean, that's probably the biggest reason why people use 2 points, is because of the work they have to do after they put the rifle away. It's not so much the work they have to do while that rifle's in their hands. But yeah, just same as Z's. And that Slingster, man, I love that thing. The way I can cinch it up and loosen it, it just takes like, milliseconds.
Yeah, adjustability would be.
Yeah. It's it actually ravels into itself, doesn't it, Kawa?
Yeah, it feeds right back into itself, so you don't have any tails hanging out that you got to tape up like we used to with the VTAC slings. But
That's
yeah,
I run a VTAC sling.
Yep.
So going on another pro for the 2-point, which in my opinion is the biggest pro, is you're able to, just like what Kyle was saying with the tails and stuff like that in the VTEC, you're able to either have that sling loose enough to where you can come up and you're not fighting a sling on your back, or you can do that, or you can just a quick example here.
So it's got a lot of diversity.
Yeah, so we have for our VTEC slings, we have an adjustment point right here. So basically it does two things. So if I want it nice and high, like this, and I'm carrying my rifle and stuff like that, but I'm not able to come out with this weapon right now. But, a quick pull on the string gives me full sling right here. I can do basically anything I want with this rifle. It's, right now it's real down low, and if I want to cinch it up, say I'm just relaxing at that point, you just grab your tail, like what Kyle was saying, you pull on that, and now it's back up on my body. So,
Adam Knapp, he says, I also don't run any grip on the rail so it doesn't hit my leg when I'm moving. I like everything smooth and simple, right? And
What
that's
did he say before that?
I don't know. For some reason, we can't get the comments up on there.
Can you see him, Chad?
Yeah.
What did Adam Knapp say first?
All right.
He probably
Adam
said, I
Knapp
like a
said-
single point.
He said, I also don't run any grip on
Before
the
that.
rail.
Before that
so
one.
it doesn't hit. Oh, okay. Using the mag pull adjustable sling.
Adam, so I think what Adam's talking about is actually using, it's an MS3 or an MS4 by Magpul, and it does almost the same thing as what that Slingster does, where as you move it, it goes right into itself. So it's kind of like a self-contained sling. It's a 2-point sling. I think you can actually make it into a 3-point sling. It's really nice sling. It's really thick. I actually have one of those. It's pretty decent. All of the guns here at the shop, I run the VTAC sling, even their new one with the metal buckle on there. It works out really good. It's super comfortable for me. I run some of their padded ones. I run some of their regular ones. But there's definitely a lot of good options out there. I know you run an ATS.
No, this is a Slide Tactical, actually.
Oh yeah, okay.
So they met Carl and gave him a sling. He gave me a sling to try out. And so it's kind of like the VTAC. It's got a little smoother movement. You can see it's got this big grippy handle that you can grab onto. Kind of like that. So it's exact. I ran the VTAC forever. So it's like the padded VTAC that you have right there. You can stuff this up out of the way. And it's got, you see how easily it slides.
and there's
I
no
like
tail.
it so far. Carl met the guy. He's a pretty good guy. Had a good idea. He runs one, gave me one. So I'm trying it out right now.
Okay.
Slide Tactical.
Okay, good deal. So we get into some of the pros of the 2-point sling. One of those is you're able to cinch it up high in your body. Okay. Another one of those pros is that you're able to clear almost all of your gear when you don't. And I'd say the biggest one is it's not a pendulum swinging in front of you and hitting you in the knees.
Pulling.
So I think that's probably, you know, one of the best reasons for a 2-point sling is that you don't have to worry about it coming up, hitting you in the face or anything like that.
So
if you go to the
let's
ground.
take a vote. 1-point slings. Vote with your hand up. You like 1 point? All right. 2-point slings.
We're going 2-point slings. All right, Kawa, give me some cons on the 2-point sling.
Okay, I'll give you my con, and I think it's probably the biggest con, and you know, there's more than one, but I think I'll point out one. Because it's 2 points of connection, you know, you always have like that chance of now a failure point on one of those 2 points of connection, right? How many times has one of your QD mounts or QD you know, popped out of the mount? I mean, that's happened to me a couple times because the ball bearings, you know, kind of wear out on those things. So, however, I would still take that over having a 1 point of connection and then that thing popping out, and now, you know, my rifle's dropping.
Then your rifle spears the ground.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any issues where you go to you're running a course fire with your rifle, and then you go to transition to your pistol, and you bring your rifle down, you draw your secondary, and as you go to reload your secondary, have you ever grabbed that sling with that mag? Right. So I would say that's the biggest one for me. Is
Hey, this could probably happen with 1 point or 2 point. I'm not sure, but the way I tend to turn my gun as I transition, because this is also the in close tight QD mount on the back plate versus on the buttstock. So for all that manipulation I have, it also becomes a pain in the ass when this thing gets wrapped here. So I go here, maybe like a check drill, and I'm trying to bring this gun up before I put my pistol away. I get caught here sometimes. I have. So this part right here, it's hard to untangle this with one hand. So I end up having to put the gun away and then come around and undo the sling. So I've had that happen before because you're trying to keep it tight. So it really doesn't hurt me bad. If you're trying to do a check drill for time, yeah, it's going to be a little bit slower. So when you're racing your buddy, you're going to be pissed off and you're like, man, never do that again. But when it comes to real work, where I'm not worried about the timer and I don't need to hurry up and quickly put my gun away in order to get this rifle back up necessarily, it's not really a problem. But I have seen that happen. So it's just more material and more places for things to get caught up. Generally, basically what you said and the way I explained it, it's just more shit to catch up on things.
correct. All right, so let's recap really fast 1 point slings before we go into the next topic, and that is battle belts. So to recap, the pros of the 1 point sling, right? This is what we got. What do we got there, Chad?
Got sling next to the shoulder or chest, depending on type. Weapon is easier to manipulate, i.e. shoulder transition.
Correct. Right. So connects 1 point. It's easier to manipulate because it's just on that 1 point. So you could pretty much maneuver that weapon wherever you want to. And what are our cons for that 1 point sling?
With those, we've got only has on point of connection, acts as a swinging pendulum, and severely affects movement and speed, and no way to cinch down weapon when not in use.
Cool. Right. Let's get into our 2 point. What's our pros for the 2 points?
2 points. We got weapon doesn't swing like a pendulum, affecting shooting accuracy. Cinch down the weapon when not in use, and more versatile for different applications.
Okay.
I don't know how well they can hear me.
Okay, that's
Let them know.
And then our cons for that?
2 failure points depending on connection method. Excessive sling material, something movement and manipulation. 3 can sometimes get caught on gear.
Right, so that's what we just got done talking about. They sometimes get caught up on the gear. Okay, let's move into battle belts, man. This is a huge thing. A lot of guys always ask questions like, hey, what belt are you running? Hey, how do you set up your belt? You dying over there? You okay?
Dude,
You all right? Bam! Oh my gosh, dang. So we're coughing, burping. So battle belts is super big topic. I know I have a different setup than Z. We both have a different setup than Will, and we all have a different setup than Kawa. So we run different belts. Kawa, what kind of belt do you run? Do you run a padded belt, or do you run a double belt?
So I have both set up, and I used to favor the padded belt, but
Okay.
it got to a point where I was tired of that belt shifting on me all the time, and you know, my holster height was moving because, you know, I'm bending down and doing this, and the belt's rising or rotating. So I finally went to a double belt rig system made by Blue Alpha Gear, and that thing sits right on my waist. It's an inner outer belt, and nothing moves on me, you know, nothing rotates, and I'm super happy with it.
Okay, cool. So I think you're the only one that's running that two belt system. What are some pros to running that over the padded system?
Okay. I probably ran this belt for about 8 months now, and I guess the pros of having a double belt rig system is kind of the inner belt you can use as an EDC belt. It's sturdy, it's the right width, so you can have a standard 1.5-inch clip and holsters, and you don't need an extra belt. But then again, it also is crucial to your outer belt if you want to take it to the range, and you have all this Velcro on Velcro contact. So again, it sits right there where your inner belt sits. And then again, it doesn't rotate on you. It doesn't shift up and down on you. Your holster height never changes. You know, so it doesn't impede your fine motor skills as far as drawing mags on speed, drawing your gun on speed and time.
Okay.
And I have to say, I love the Cobra buckle system that's on there. It's a load bearing belt, you know, and not all padded belts are load bearing belts because not all of them have a Cobra buckle.
Mm-hmm.
But on these double belt rig systems, the Cobra buckle is pretty standard. So
what are some of the drawbacks of running that?
some of the drawbacks of running it is that, you know, if you forget to bring your inner for the range, now you have to wear this outer on your waist, you know, and so now you got to resize it, and it's sitting on your waist, and it's not comfortable at all. So you can't forget the inner part of that. Depending on how much real estate on the belt that you take up with accessories, mag pouches, carriers, med kits, you're losing more and more Velcro contact on the inside of that belt. So that's one more con. However, what I do to make up for that is every accessory that I put on that belt that takes up Velcro real estate, I add some Velcro to that accessory. So if it's a clip, I just put a strip of Velcro, and I just regain all that contact again. So that's really about it, though.
But you're limited on that belt to the width of that belt. Like it's not as wide as a padded belt. It is pretty much as wide as your inner belt, correct?
Thank you. So on the face of the belt, because it's so much slimmer, you're limited to what you can put on there. So if you have something that's long, it's going to be it's going to be kind of flopping around, you know, whereas on a padded belt, you have more face, you know, and so, yeah, exactly.
We've got windows. Hey, Kyle, you got a window off to your right?
Yeah. It might
You
get a
got
bunch of dots
on your face.
Well, yeah. So with that, that double rig belt system that you got there. So you are, I missed what you said. You are confined to just that size. It doesn't get wider at all.
Yeah. So with the double belt rig system, that's all you got, right?
Okay.
You have security, and it's not moving, shifting up and down. Everything stays put, but then at the same time, you're losing a little bit of real estate. Height-wise on the belt because it's not padded.
Okay. All right, so we can get into the padded belts. I think all three of us run padded belts on here. I would say the original belt that I had was by High Speed Gear. This is also by High Speed Gear. It was their slim grip belt, but it was actually the same one as the one that Will's running.
It's this one.
So the difference between that, I got their laser slim grip belt with the inner belt with the Cobra buckle. But if you notice, this has a high back to it, and this thing prevents it from sliding up on you when you're doing any picking up at the range, or most importantly, the biggest one for me with a padded belt, the thing that I absolutely hate the most is doing stuff inside of a vehicle. right? If you're getting in a vehicle, getting out of a vehicle all the time, it rides up on you or it pushes down on you. It's just, it's a pain in the ass. This actually sits in the small of your back and it prevents it from sliding up your back, which I really like this setup. What are you running? What kind of belt?
So this is from ATS. I've got an internal belt right here. It's from VTAC. They're making me what's the Cobra buckle. ATS is getting me a black one to go inside to go with all this because I wanted to go black so I can for what I do on the side sometimes. All right, so
he's a ninja.
It's padded, yeah. It's black, so I can use it in every environment. It's frowned upon when you're doing a security detail of some sort and you're wearing multicam. They think you're out there being Johnny Rambo. Yeah. Everybody gets scared. So going back to black, and it's padded. And what all you guys are saying about wanting this to stay in one spot, I understand that, right? But for me, it's almost like going back to what we talked about slings, the diversity. Okay. So I don't want mine so secure with the Velcro. I do see some pros, like much like a single point sling. There's pros at the range doing certain things. I want it staying in one spot when I'm running. Right. I just got to make sure this was extra tight so it doesn't flop everywhere. But because I do more than just shoot with a belt on, because I get in and out of vehicles, because I have to move here and there, because I have to shift the thing to get my holster out of the way, particularly in vehicles, I like it to be able to move a little bit so I can adjust it here and there and it's not locked in one position because I'm not only standing at the flat range like this and I don't intend to. Right? So me, I've just got more of an idea of all the different things I do. But that being said, I do want it secure enough to where if I have to roll around on the ground, I have to get small quick. If I have to crawl, then I want it to be secure enough to stay where it's supposed to be. And that gets into other things. The other limiting or factors to help along with that is, the extra strap on the holster, the Velcro, so stuff don't fall out. And we talked about that, and I know it's not cool. 1999, right? But
the old SWAT.
Can you just do an example of how that works? Because I'm sure most of our viewers don't know how the Velcro works.
Or you like?
Wow.
But it will get you found in a patrol base. So it's very nice. The other thing I have tried out the interior
Inside.
The inside belt system through the loops, right? And we talked about it being thin. And I just don't like, if I'm wearing an everyday carry and have to be ready, I don't like the exposed Velcro on my regular belt. It's a pain in the ass sometimes just rubbing on it. Maybe not for some people, I just don't like it, right? Okay. And plus it'll catch on to stuff and you'll find patches attached to you. Like, well, what the hell, right? So that's my take on it.
What do you got?
So I run a same thing, just a little older version, high speed gear belt. One thing I like about it is, and I don't think Z has that. Do you have the rubber on the inside?
No.
Or is it just cloth?
No, rubber's just cloth.
Oh, okay. So, and I don't know if you said that or not, but me and Bobby's both have a kind of a real soft, squishy rubber on the inside. It's kind of like it's kind of like gel foam, to be honest with you. So. Honestly, super comfortable to wear on you. It doesn't dig into your hips or anything like that because of that kind of gel memory foam kind of stuff. Whatever.
I think there's something too, like you talking about. It won't bounce right around as much. It's got friction there. So
exactly. So one thing I like, the thing that I don't like about that is wherever it gets pushed, it stays. So if it gets pushed up super high on my back, it stays up there. So I got to readjust. But I have kind of a simpler setup, and this is just for going to the range for me. So basically, all I have on here is a drop holster for my 19, 2 pistol mags, 1 rifle mag, and then just a dump pouch, which I rarely ever even use. I don't have a mag kit on here or anything like that like Bobby does, and I sure shit don't have all the duty stuff that Z has. So
I think is this an MRE pouch? Do you have an MRE pouch on this thing? You keeping your snack?
Small mid pouch.
Okay,
but I will put snacks in.
Is that small?
MRE pouch.
That's like a full blown admin pouch.
No,
this is a small med pouch.
Same size.
Same size,
unless it sticks out double.
All right, cool. So we'll talk about some of the pros with the padded belts. one of them is just that mobility that you got, right? That's one of the things that I like. You can switch it around. You could pretty much position. Am I okay? Okay. You can move that thing around. One of the biggest drawbacks to the padded belt is it moving, right? So if it moves on you, what's the one thing that it does? It moves your holster up. Moves your holster up, right? So now your holster is in a completely different spot than when you started. That could be big, especially if you're in a situation where you need to react fast and you're trying to find your hold, you know what I mean, and get it to where it's got to go. You can eliminate that, like Z said, with a leg strap. Leg strap help you out. But that's not the end all be all. If it switches to the side or left and right, you know, the left or right movement, the leg strap's not going to help you there. It's just going to go with you. The up and down, it might help you a little bit. But that's my take on the.
You hook it to your tank, your grundle area, then it locks in really well. It's like.
Cal, what's your take on the padded belt? I know you got away from it. What were some of your pros and cons when you ran it?
No, so I mean, I still have my padded belt set up, and I still love it, man. Like when it comes to comfort, you just can't beat a padded belt, you know. And then depending on certain applications, like Z said, you want a little bit of playroom in there so you can adjust stuff, you know, to get in and out of places or a vehicle or whatever. But you know, I think some of the pros. And I ran that padded belt for a long time, longer than I ran this double belt. So I think that some of the pros there, again, are just the comfortability, right? But also I like having a lot more real estate. I may have a different application. You know, I may set up my padded belt for more of an assaulter's kit, you know, versus my double belt for something less tasking, you know. But you know, there is like Coyote Tactical Solutions makes a padded belt that has belt loop retainers, right? So he's a great guy who's working on something to now secure a padded belt to your inner belt. So if you have a leather belt or whatever on your pants, then you just put these little Velcro loops on 3 points of contact, and now this thing's not shifting on you, you know, up and down or rotating. So I mean, that's probably the biggest thing is just comfort, man. Because I will tell you on a double belt rig system, depending on where you put your holster and depending on where you put some other stuff, if it's sitting right there on your hip bones over the course of the day, that can kind of dig in and get annoying. So.
I like that guy with the guys coming up with the loops that had the Velcro to a regular belt. That's awesome because it's kind of like the best of both worlds. If I want a little bit of play or I want to lock it in, it's good.
Because I would say that is my two biggest gripes about padded belts. One is it's attached to nothing. It's free floating. You're just relying on the tension and the rubber to hold it. So technically, if I hit something or I jump down, it's gonna slide up, right? So it'll like slide up to the bottom of my chest. It can do whatever it wants. It can go up to my armpits if it wants, if I have loose enough. The second thing that I don't like about it is I don't get out to the range a whole lot. So there's big gaps between me going to the range, and either between that gap, I'm either, you know, working out and doing a good job, or I'm just eating fast food. So I, gain a little waist on the thing.
So he's a fat
It's
ass.
so hard to quickly. I have the Cobra belt in there. It's so hard to adjust it. Like, say I want it a little tighter that day, I would have to do some major finagling to even loosen this or tighten this. I basically have to take the thing apart to tighten up my coat, because there's Velcro on the inside. You gotta
Same because it's covered up into the pad
correctly. So the adjustment part, I can do a quick one right here, but I have this big belt loop sticking out right there. But to do a full adjustability on there, I would have to run the little Velcro majigger in there to de-Velcro everything. Tighten my belt, test fit it. Maybe I don't like it. Maybe I got it too tight. Got to do it all over again, and it's a process to just get it, where you want it to be. So two biggest gripes.
And that's another good thing about a double belt rig system is because you don't have to feed it through anything. That outer belt is just a quick cinch to make it tighter or loosen it, right? I mean, Coyote Tactical Solutions. If I was at the house right now, I would show you the new belt that he made. And those inner belt loops, those belt loop retainers are money, man, and just solves all the problems, So I'm actually surprised that more people haven't bought off that idea.
I'm just trying to look one up to put a picture up. find it.
Yeah.
Is it not out, Kawa?
They're not on their website yet.
Oh.
So some of the belts that we recommend, Chad, you can put this up too. Some of the belts that we recommend: High Speed Gear, ATS, Coyote Tactical Solutions. It's on there. It says belt.
Shameless plug.
He's also the guy that makes the padded Orion belt, and I think T-Rex and ours sells them. But
There you go.
Jesus started.
Is that the belt recommendations?
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Speed
Coyote
Gear.
Tactical Solutions created that belt and then pretty much made it for T-Rex arms. Like he adopted that. So
Okay, good deal. So we got High Speed Gear, ATS, Velocity Systems, which is also Mayflower. They did a lot of stuff for you guys. They still do a lot of stuff for three-letter agencies, stuff like that. And then Coyote Tactical Solutions. Those are the belts that we would recommend. Every one of us has used one of those belts, and it's what we continue to use every single day. I know a lot of you guys ask us all the time, hey, what belt is that? Because you know what? If I put this belt next to his belt, maybe if it doesn't have all the gear, but they're similar, or I put this next to Will's belt, they look very similar. Same thing with Kawa's belt from Coyote Tactical Solutions. They look very similar. So we get asked that question all the time, and a lot of people do. Like, hey, what belt setup is that? What setup is that? You know, and these are the belts that we recommend for you guys. So, but go out there, fit them, see which one works the best for you, whether it's going to be a double rig belt or if it's going to be a padded belt, and utilize that. Next topic.
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kawa.
One caveat, quick caveat. Sorry. So one more great thing about the padded belt is that the padded belt you can just
No.
quick.
You got a double rig belt. You're out of the padded belt club. Can't
No,
be
I
in
own
it.
both. I own both, so I can advocate for both. But no, I was gonna say the one great thing about a padded belt is that you can quickly put it on and not have to sit there and loop the inner through your belt. You know what I mean? Like you wake up at night or whatever, for whatever reason, you feel froggy and you want to put that padded range belt on. You know, you can quickly put it on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got with a double belt rig system, you can quickly put the outer on, but now it's sagging all old school Western style. You know, so
Yep.
that's just a quick caveat.
Good deal. Next topic, let's get into some holster retention, right? I know, Kawa, you really wanted to talk about this. So let's get into it. We got multiple holsters. We got appendix carry holsters. All these weapons are safe and empty. Before we get into that, no ammo, nothing like that. So we got in the waistband holsters. We got these are retention holsters. We got friction holsters. We got all different kinds. Kawa, you want to lead us into this one?
So retention holsters, right? I used to use. I mean, my time in the military, we have to have at least a level 2 retention holster, right? Whether that's Safariland or Black Hawk Serpas, which nobody uses and I don't recommend using. But you know, it's something like maybe G code. A couple of G codes were floating around and stuff. But at least a level 2 retention in the military is required. Now,
Can you
for people
super
that,
quick just tell them what the levels are and what they mean?
yeah. Sorry. So a level 1 retention is basically no locking system. It's just a friction holster, right? So the friction of the holster itself is what holds the gun in place. And then you got a level 2 retention. Level 2 retention is something like a thumb release, right? You have at least one locking system that is on that holster, like mainly a thumb release. If it's an old school Serpa, you got that index finger release on the side of it. And then you have a level 3 retention holster that's usually the push button, but also has that hood that a lot of us see, like LE guys wear. You know, that hood, you got to push it down and flip it forward. And then you have a level 4 retention holster, which is basically 3 locking systems. You have a push the thumb button, you have the hood, and then you also have a manual lock on the inside that you got. That's the first one you got to hit. You got to hit that manual lock, and then you can release the hood, and then you can hit the thumb release and get that holster out of there. So those are your 4 levels of retention.
Okay, so we'll go real quick. This is a friction holster or level 1. This would be your lock, your level 2, where you have to literally use your thumb to push the lock to retrieve the pistol. And then Z's got a level 3.
So this is Safariland's got the ALS, and it's also got the hood if you want to use it, and then hit the lock.
So that covers all 3 of them. We don't have a level 4 holster
You have a
here.
level 4. Also tie a cord from this pistol around your neck. Hold it in.
That's a level 7.
All right, so get back into it. What you were talking about?
Yeah. So like I was saying, if a lot of guys, a lot of like non-professional shooters, Instagram shooters or whatever you want to call them, they use retention. They use a level 1 retention holster, which is a friction holster, and there's no need for them to even have a retention a level 2 or a greater holster because it's not part of their profession. Now, guys usually go with Safariland because Safariland makes a premium product. And so with Safariland, you have to kind of buy a level 2 or beyond holster. But there's nothing wrong with a level 1 friction holster if you're just a regular enthusiast and just want to get some range time in. I personally myself use a level 2. I have a Safariland 6354 DO, which is great because it's made for a 17. But it fits my 19, my 19X, my 45, my 17, and my 34, my little 34-19 hybrid from Lone Wolf. And it fits it fits RMR and Delta Point and pretty much everything. It even fits an Acro. And then you can fit a Surefire X300 and pretty much all the lights, even like your little Enforce APLs. But it is a level 2, and I don't want anything beyond a level 2, because I'm not an operator anymore, and I'm just an instructor. So at least to maintain some professionalism in front of my students and LE guys that I teach, I use what they use. But if they use a hood, then I mean that's because they're required to, and I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. What's your take on that? What would you rather prefer?
I never ran a friction holster except for EDC. Right. So,
Okay.
and the only reason I run a friction level 1 holster for EDC is because I also carry an appendix most of the time. I don't have a warm and fuzzy feeling with just friction anywhere other than in front of me where you are going to have to come and take this from me.
Mm-hmm.
Back here, you can sneak up on me and grab my gun. It's not as likely up front. I have ran some before for certain reasons because that's the only holster I had. And I set it up further where my arm rests behind the gun. I don't really like it behind me. So level 1s, I don't like it very much unless it's in my appendix.
Yeah, good point.
I recently went back to a level 3. For the longest time, I ran, just like Kawa said, a level 2. It's what I ran in the military. Safariland has a great ALS system. I love it because your thumb goes right there. You're high and tight where you want to be on that back strap, and it releases every time.
And it's super easy. It's not like you got to fight that lever to let it go. It releases it instantly, and it's good.
Before those came along, we all were required to have level 2, and the only level 2s that were issued or that we were using at my particular company was the hood, right?
Okay.
So it didn't have the ALS, it just had the hood. So you would oil this thing, you would work it, and it'd come down, right? And it's great. Now I've got the hood and the ALS on the inside, right? And the only reason I went back is because I'm teaching law enforcement officers, and I wanted to basically do everything that they're doing, right? And they even have that little guard right here, which I hate that thing. This had a guard when I bought it because I bought an older holster just to get this hood.
Yeah.
It had the guard there. I took that damn thing off. That's to keep people from grabbing it from the front. And, it's really useless.
It comes up real high on an angle right there. Yeah.
And Kawa could probably identify with this. Like, most of the time I run it with the hood down now because I have retention without the hood. But it drives people crazy, and it's also a pet peeve of mine because I want to put it up because it was ingrained in me when we had hoods. Like, your hood's down. But I understand now with this level of retention, it's not going to be easily grabbed. Now, if I was in a volatile environment where I'm like constantly scanning, maybe I'm doing security, maybe I'm doing whatever, or contracting, and I feel like there's a lot of people around me, I'm in a crowded area, I might put the hood up a little bit because I just want to prevent people from getting a hold of it. I can't see everybody around me all the time. I can't have my back against the wall all the time. So that's the way I look at that. And then fighting, if I had to be wrestling around with you, that hood would give me that added level of retention because things break. So one level, they yank it hard enough with the violence of action that happens in a fight, they could potentially break that. And I don't want to get hold of my gun. So Just I went back with the Velcro, with the belt, the hood, and everything. I kind of went in reverse, went back to my old ways of being able to depend on something no matter what in any situation. So that's my take on it.
Good deal. What do you run?
Good points.
The friction holster by Red River.
I'm running a friction holster by Red River because, like I said before, all that I'm using this for is to go out on the range and run my drills and do whatever we were doing out on the range that day. I will say I would probably not use this for any type of I don't know, real scenario. I don't know how you would want to word that because I have lost it a few times. My pistol has fallen out a few times. I have it really loose because I do have a level of adjustment, so I can adjust the retention and how much it squeezes that pistol to hold it in there. And I have it loose right now because, we do a lot of timed stuff out on the range, so I'm able to quickly pull it out.
So he's gaming it, is what he tells you.
Yeah.
When you see his videos on IG, he's
Loose
fast.
holsters.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you spin on it a little bit, it helps it out. Lube. But no, so I think I'm going to try to start running my 509. I think I'm going to upgrade to a Safari Land, so I'm going to have to get used to the level 2 coming off of there. So with the thumb button, so I'm gonna have to get used to that. It's gonna be a whole nother training experience for me because I have yet to have any real experience with a holster with any type of actual locking routine.
All right, good deal. I run a QVO tactical holster on the range. It's a friction holster. Like Will said, I've been out at Z's class burning down those young kids, and I've lost my 19 out of it, right? I run mine semi-loose, not really, but that was my main holster for a long time, the Safari Land with the ALS on there. The reason why I went away from this holster is because I didn't want to wait the 6 weeks for them to make me another holster for an RMR, right? And that's the case with every holster now, but I have ordered another one, so if I'm not doing any static range shooting where I'm just sitting there, shooting paper or anything like that, if I'm doing some dynamic range stuff, whether it's taking a class or anything like that, I'm going to be using that new Safari Land holster, just because I have that ALS lock in there, just so you can keep accountability of your firearm. So
caveat on the Safari Land, you pick up a contract for the out and halted production of your options. The Safari Land is a special order item,
correct,
as you said. So that backs them up quite a bit, even though they're popular. Right now, it's taking a lot of lead.
Why you get the older one on Amazon?
Well,
So the reason I bring it up is just so the people listening understand that a lot of times you're going to go in, a lot of your shops are going to tell you, "I'll just order it." Don't get dragged into that because we've had lots of holsters back ordered, cancel the order. 8 weeks later, I've got a sheriff's deputy at the sheriff's office right now that is a little upset with me. It took 2 months to figure out we weren't getting it.
Yeah, so we're direct with Safari Land at the Tactical Edge. So we carry Safari Land products in our retail store, and we're at a 3 to 4 week turnaround time with them.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yep.
I'm glad you can get them that quick.
That being said, because I knew how dependable Safari Land was, that's why I started looking at Red River Tactical like he's got. And I talked to those guys out there. They're awesome. They made me a holster to cover a red dot on my pistol and a 34 and anything under a 34 in the Glock brand. And with a flashlight. And I'm interested to see what they're going to have. They said it's ready. I'm going to pick it up. Okay. So more coming on that. And they use that blade tech technology for the retention. Say what?
You need to pick up my 509 holster while you're over there.
I got you.
Ray, probably not watching, but I know it's still sitting over. I haven't
I'm interested to try that blade tech technology that's almost like the ALS, except you got to push away and it removes that bell. It's like a spring-loaded
you got to push
hood.
away from it?
Yeah, your thumb goes in the gap.
Yeah.
And it's blade tech technology they use on this, and it hits a spring and makes the hood go forward. So we'll see how that goes.
For my EDC, I get asked this a bunch on my Instagram. I run a Wingman from QVO. This is also a appendix rig, and this is friction too, and it has a side mag on there. That's why it's called the Wingman, right? Your Wingman right here. Super comfortable. It's got the blade right here on the end that'll push your belt loop around so you don't print as much as you normally would with an appendix holster. So you have that, and then that's all I got, man. What do you got? You got anything? Kawa, you got anything?
No, no. I mean, I think everything was hit on, man. I have a couple different concealed holsters just because I use different applications and different guns depending on how I'm dressed and where I'm going. But yeah, I think we hit it all.
Okay, good deal. Hey, if you guys got any questions, we're gonna stay on for another 5 minutes. If you guys got any questions, make sure to ask those questions so we can answer them. While we're doing that, Chad, you want to put up the holsters that we recommend? These are some of the holsters that we recommend, whether it's everyday carry, appendix, out on the range, anything like that. These are some of your brands. You got QVO Tactical, you got Safari Land, you got Tier 1 Concealment, and you have Made to Carry. That is the brand that...
Yeah, for my concealed, Made to Carry, M2C, and this is, they're out of Illinois as far as I know. My buddy Mick from Carry Trainer had it made specifically for me, so it's got a special date. It's got my old unit logo. He sent it to me for free, and what I liked about it the most was it's just comfortable, secure, but and you could change this out just the one claw. That's for me. Again, the same reason I have this. I can adjust it for my fat belly and my long toes.
I will say, I'll add one thing to that is that if you're carrying, most of us carry 19s and 17s, and I think I know one person that carries a 34 concealed, but
1911.
1911, of course. But for those people that are carrying 43s and 43Xs, check out FS Tactical. They make a really nice like appendix or 4 o'clock position holster for a 43 or 43X. So.
Hey guys, there's the Warfighter 1911. So it's not
floating.
Yeah, it's floating. We might do this. It's pretty cool. We're not going to show you a whole bunch of it, but there you go.
Shameless plug.
One thing that I want to talk about with these holsters before we get off the topic. This is a very interesting concept. Kawa runs this right now. He runs the Surefire holster. It's pretty interesting. It almost looks like a competition holster, but it's not. Kawa, you wanna go into detail on that?
Yeah. So I don't actively use it anymore. I did use it I gave it a good fair shot. I wore it for, I don't know, probably like almost a year, I think. And on and off, of course, not the whole time, but I gave it some fair use and definitely wanted to have an unbiased review of it. But it's a cool looking holster. It's a great attempt at a first holster from a company, right? We consider that this is a light company attempting to make a holster. So it's not going to be perfect. It's probably far from perfect, but the concept is I think the concept kind of matches like the evolution of holsters and just the evolution of gear, right? A very minimalist style of gear that still functions and that has everything we want it to do. But the thing with the Surefire Masterfire holster is that right now you have to buy a proprietary series of lights, the H series, if you want it to, because it retains the light, not the gun. So what the great thing, the pro is, you can use any gun with that holster as long as you have the railing or accessory rail on the bottom to have a Surefire H series light because it retains the light. The bad thing is that the switches and the locks are kind of finicky. Because it's a Gen 1 holster. But I think if they continue to do and develop this holster, they're going to go to a good place with it. And I kind of see this almost as the evolution of holsters, right? We're trying to get to a place where we can safeguard that pistol, but also kind of shave, a couple tenths of a second in employing it. So we'll see, man. It's an interesting holster. If you want to check it out, by all means, get one. But just know that if you get one, you got to buy an 8 Series light to go with it.
Gotcha.
I've encountered that with some students in a class, and
They had them?
yeah, or at least one student for sure. I've seen other ones. This one I've seen particularly, it failed. Not so much anything can fail, right? But because of the point of retention was on the light, there was a vulnerability point there because it's not metal, it doesn't hold it in real well. And it was basically bad drawing that defeated it because he's trying to come here versus
Did the holster fail or did the light fail?
No. So what Z is talking about, the way the holster is designed is it's designed that gun's at a 45. So in order to break the retention on the light, you got to take it to a straight 6 to 12. And that's the only way you can draw it. So if you're trying to draw it at a 45, that the little locking indents or whatever on the light, you're not getting that holster out. You're fighting it. So you gotta hit the thumb release and cock it to a 6 to 12 and then draw it straight out. That's how it's designed. So it messes a lot of people up.
Is gone. So it looks like a competition holster where you come back and you could draw your weapon from it.
Yep.
And to your question, Will, I'm not sure if it was the light part that retains it in or the part of the holster that started wearing apart and started coming out too easy. Something broke on there. Maybe the connection with the light to the gun. Maybe I don't remember.
Chad, we got any questions?
I think one guy asked. Oh, it was Bob. Or I'm sorry, Doug. Sorry, Doug. Doug asked. I know you covered it, but I don't think he caught it. Who makes the appendix holster?
Made to carry holster.
Made to
M2C is their little
M2C,
abbreviation.
made to carry.
M2.
What else we got, Chad? Is that it?
Just a couple comments. Rob said the Master Fire is neat that it allows you to holster a pistol with a can, but he echoed Kawa and said that it needs a few more iterations of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adam Knapp says, This is one thing lacking on my setup is a good holster for my battle belt. I currently have a Bravo concealment holster. It works. What could be better? So my take on that, before we get off here, is if you guys are on the range and you're doing any kind of dynamic movement, the best holster that I've used, probably the best holster that Z, Kawa, and Will is yet to use, is the Safari Land holster. It's probably the easiest one to use. It's the easiest one to manipulate, to draw your weapon out of it. It has like a suede lining on the inside. I think it's suede or whatever it is, so it doesn't mar up your gun.
It's moss from an evergreen tree.
Yeah, it could be that. Probably not, but I would say get a good Safari Land holster. If you're going to do some static shooting where you're not going to be running around or getting in and out of vehicles, anything like that, a friction holster should work for you. There's definitely tons of options out there. I run a QVO, Red River Tactical, Tier 1. Yep.
If you're not preparing to be a Minuteman, then don't worry about it. But I'm preparing to be a Minute.
He's preparing to get out of 1996 with his setup. I don't know if you've seen this. I'm pretty sure he's got knee pads stuck to this thing. Look at that.
No, he's got his knee pads where everybody else has them. His ankles.
You ever see that old picture? It's like either a Navy SEAL boarding a ship or a Coast Guard or something. He's in all black. He's got the big goggles, the thick mustache, and then the helmet, and he's got like a Colt Commando. That's really Z in that photo.
Yeah. That's a famous photo.
Yeah, and actually, this is the rig that he was wearing that day.
Yeah.
It's right there.
In that picture, I just finished roundhouse kicking people in the face.
All right, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Next week, we're going to go over a whole bunch of stuff again. Like I said, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We weren't on here last week. We had a trip to the Pentagon. Z's got something to say.
Hey, God bless America, man. 9/11 today, and I know it feels almost awkward to be doing something other than just sitting around all day thinking about 9/11 and everything. How a long time of conflict started, really. So we love our first responders. God bless the families that lost someone. God bless those that went out there and were courageous in something that I can't even imagine, where it probably felt like the world was coming down around them in New York at that point in time. So God bless them, and we'll always remember. We'll always remember.
Absolutely. Not only those guys, but also the embassy, too. That was attacked on September 11th, too. We won't forget any of those guys either. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Kawa, you got anything?
No, man. I just wanted to echo what Z said about 9/11. You know, today's a day we don't talk about why 9/11 happened or who was behind it. Today's a day where we remember those that were involved directly, that were directly impacted. You have 364 days beyond today to talk about other crap like who was behind it and all that other bullshit. So focus on remembering those that either were directly impacted or the ones that went to, you know, the first responders and all the guys that got killed and impacted by trying to save people. That's what we should be remembering today. That should be the focal point. So.
Yep. The one day where everyone in America put aside all their differences and came together as one to unite and to make sure everyone was okay, the best that they could.
Yeah, I've been seeing a new meme or a new little posters going around that I haven't seen in the past 9/11 anniversaries, and it's saying, I wish we definitely don't want a 9/11 ever to happen again, and I never wish that, but the day after they were saying 9/12 was a day that they felt like a united states, a united America. So I think I can echo that sentiment, and I felt like we were one more than I've ever felt in my life at that time, and we'll be together again soon. So we're a country together.
Yeah.
Anything more?
Good.
No?
Not at all.
All right, cool, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. Next week, we're going to try to be on at 7:05. We're going to try and make it to 7 o'clock. Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys share this. Tell everybody about it. We'll be doing another giveaway next month. So make sure you guys subscribe.
Yes. Spread the word.